Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala. So inshallah we'll start the second volume of this book, Al-Mawsu'a al-Fiqhiyya al-Muyassara, which is the Fiqh Encyclopedia. The reason I brought this other book here, I'll mention to you for a minute here. See, now we're going to start talking about the Fara'id and Arkaan and Sunan al-Salah. The Salah, the prayer, there are three, they divide the actions and the sayings in the prayer into three categories: Rukn and Fard and Sunnah. Rukn is the integral part of the Salah that you cannot miss, even unintentionally. If you miss it unintentionally, this rak'ah is not valid. And if you don't make it up, then the whole Salah is not valid. While the wajib, which is an obligatory part of the Salah, if you miss it unintentionally, you don't have to repeat it, but what you need to do is do what? Sujood al-Sahw. Two sajda after you finish for forgetfulness. Sujood of forgetfulness, okay? And then you have Sunan. Sunan are the acts in the Salah and the sayings that you receive reward from Allah for doing, for following the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ precisely in everything that he did in the Salah. But if you miss it intentionally or unintentionally, there is no, your Salah is not defective, but it's not perfect, but it's not defective. Not totally perfect like the Salah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but you're not required to do sujood al-sahw, and the Salah is still valid. The Salah is valid if you miss a Sunnah. Okay, so let's divide them again. The Rukn, it's an integral part. Rukn in Arabic, what does it mean? Rukn, the corner is called Rukn in Arabic. Okay, Rukn is a corner. So you cannot, it's like a pillar. You cannot have the building without the Rukn. It holds up the building. The wajibat or fara'id al-salah, wajib or fard is the same. It means it's obligatory, and then you have the sunnah. Now, if somebody intentionally omits a rukn, intentionally, what is the ruling here? Intentionally, not unintentionally. Salah is not valid. Intentionally, you can't go in the salah and say, I'm not going to do ruku'ah. The salah is not valid, and of course, it's basically you're not praying. You're like somebody who is not praying. There might even, if he does it intentionally, he might be even punished more because he's making fun and ridiculing this act of worship, okay? If somebody misses a wajib, an obligatory, mandatory part of Salah intentionally, like I'll give you an example of something that is wajib and not a rukn, the tashahhud in the middle of the Salah, the scholars consider this not a rukn. All of them consider it not a rukn, not an integral part of the Salah. Some consider it a wajib, some consider it even a sunnah. But the majority consider it a wajib, a mandatory part of the Salah. Imagine somebody praying and intentionally says, I'm not going to do tashahhud in the middle of the Salah. What is the ruling here? It's not valid. Not valid. So the rukn and the wajib, they both have one common feature here. If somebody intentionally omits a rukn, an integral part, or a mandatory part of Salah, Salah is invalid. While unintentionally, if he forgets a rukn, an integral part of the Salah, such as ruku' or sujood or fatiha, if unintentionally forgets about it, then that rak'ah in the Salah, let's say he forgot it in the first rak'ah, he did one sujood, not two. And then he remembered just before he got up to do this following rak'ah, just before, he can sit back down and do the sujood, and then the rak'ah is valid. But if he goes into the following rak'ah, then he can consider this first rak'ah as invalid, and the following rak'ah is the first rak'ah in the Salah, okay? If we're talking about that he missed the sujood in the first rak'ah, then, and he got up for the second rak'ah already, then that first rak'ah is invalidated, and now the second rak'ah becomes the first rak'ah, and on top of that, so he'll start doing, let's say if it's a 4 rak'ah Salah, 4 unit Salah, he'll do the 4 rak'ah, then he'll have to do sujood al-sahw for the defect that he forgot. Although he made it up, but still it's been defective because of that. Go ahead.
You do 5 total rak'ahs?
Yes.
You will do 5.
5. Because the first one is not considered the rak'ah anymore. If a rak'ah if an integral part of the salah is missed in the rak'ah, that rak'ah is invalidated. If he completes the salah, does salam, and he has not done that, okay, then the whole salah is invalidated. Okay, he will have to repeat.
In a situation that is when he knows that he missed it. In a situation that is doubtful, he wasn't sure, maybe the sujood was 2 or 1.
Exactly.
So does it invalidate totally, or you just come with a sawi?
No, see, if you forget, if you're doubting, then you have to count it as a lesser number. If I'm doubting, did I do 1 sujood or 2 sujood? I would do a second sujood if I'm still right there.
Yes, if you're still right there.
Yes.
If you got up, what happens?
Then the rak'ah is invalidated because.
So we'll assume the rak'ah is invalidated, then
yes.
you pick another rak'ah.
Do another rak'ah because you have to get these rukun. You cannot miss on these rukun intentionally or unintentionally. No. Okay?
So is the rak'ah valid if you unintentionally do 3 ruku or 3 sajda instead of?
No, because unintentionally? Yeah. No, but nobody would do. No, the rak'ah would still be valid because he forgot, right? The rak'ah would still be valid. But you cannot miss on the rukun. You cannot miss on the rukun. Let's say somebody forgot, I did 2 or 3, then you'll have to get the other one. The Sharia tells you that you have to build on the lesser number. Wow. Why? Because this is yaqeen. You only build on yaqeen. If you're doubting, did I do 1 or 2? Then you're sure you did at least 1. That you're not doubting. Then you have to make the yaqeen of doing the second one. If it turns out that you actually did 2 and now 3, you do sujood sahw at the end, it will make up for that defect, because any defect in the salah such as this would require that you do sujood sahw to make up for this defect. You follow? No. Okay. Now the fard or the wajib, if he misses unintentionally, the rak'ah is valid, but and he doesn't have to go back to make it up. So he forgot the tashahhud in the middle and he got up, he doesn't have to go back. Then and the rak'ah is valid. All he has to do is sujood sahw at the end. Okay. Now, the reason I brought this book is that there's so much controversy when it comes to some certain things. Are they fard or are they a wajib or the rukun? Are they a wajib or sunnah? Okay. I found that this book, for instance, with the curriculum that we're following here, he mixed them all together. He puts them, like for instance, he starts and says here at the beginning, fara'id as-salah wa sunanuh. So he mixed the fara'id with the sunan. Then you don't know. If I tell you, for instance, he puts here the niyyah. The niyyah is an integral part, of course. Takbirat ihram, integral part. But then he goes to raf' al-yadayn. If we go this way, you might get mixed up. Because raf' al-yadayn is sunnah. If you don't do it at all, your salah is valid. Even if you omit it intentionally, your salah is still valid. So I found if we go like this, in this order, inshallah we'll go after we classify everything and we know the order of things with regards to their importance and significance and how critical they are, then we can go that way, okay? So I will just enumerate to you the integral parts of the salah. And even here when he put the niyyah, some people might put the niyyah even as a shart, even because it's before. The niyyah comes before. Usually the integral part is a part of the act itself. But anyhow, here he puts the first integral part of the salah, al-qiyam. If al-fard طبعا. In the fard salah you have to stand up. Allah says, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, which means stand before Allah devoutly obedient. Okay? And then the hadith, there's many hadith. صَلِّ قَائِمًا فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَقَاعِدًا. You have to pray standing. If you can, then you sit. We're talking about the fard salah. The fard salah, you have to stand up if you're able to. If you're not able to, it's a different story. Your salah is still valid, and you sit down and you'll get the full reward if you cannot. But it has to be validated that you cannot. Because some people take this too easy. Some people, they're working all day long, 8 hours standing at work, and then they go home, they say, I feel tired. I'm going to sit for Maghrib today. Wallah, you see that? Don't you see that?
Yeah.
We see that. We see that in some of our relatives. We have to tell them, no, you can't be. Or we see that sometimes, astaghfirullah, in some housewives. They're standing in the kitchen all day long. But when it comes to Maghrib, I say, no, I'm tired today, I'm going to sit down for Salah. Wallah, you can't. You can't be standing in front of the stove for hours, then you can't stand in front of Allah for 5 minutes. Doesn't make sense, right? So no, standing in, if somebody is able to stand in a salah, and Allah knows who's able and who's not, and the measure is that because some people can stand, but they're so much in pain and stress that they can't focus. Then they sit down. So this is the how to gauge it. When do I stand, and when do I have to stand? And if you're standing that enough, you're comfortable enough that you can focus in the recitation and the khushu', then you have to stand. But if you're in so much stress and pain and fatigue that you can't even focus on what you're reading, now reading is more important, the Fatiha and the khushu' is more important here, then you sit down, okay? So standing in the salah is number one. Another integral part, of course, takbirat al-ihram. If somebody did not do takbirat al-ihram and he started reciting the Fatiha, what is unintentionally, what is ruling here? He hasn't started the salah actually. He has not started his salah, because the hadith says افتتاحها تحريمها التكبير. The beginning of the salah is takbir, وتحليلها التسليم, and the ending of the salah is salam. So if somebody didn't do takbirat al-ihram, then he has not actually started the prayer yet. Okay, so we have to put this in mind, and this is takbirat al-ihram. This is the rukn, because the other takbirat are not rukn. You'll find some scholars saying it is wajib, some scholars saying it's sunnah, but the arkan mostly there's consensus on most of the arkan. There's consensus. Maybe there's only a difference in the tashahhud. The tashahhud at the very end, is it rukn or is it wajib? But most of the arkan that I'm saying right now, you'll find all scholars are in agreement that these are rukn. Nobody can omit. So you have to stand in the fard, you have to do takbirat al-ihram, you have to recite the Fatiha. Now, how did scholars come to know that this is rukn, this is wajib, this is sunnah? Before we go on, do you think, how did they come to this? Did the Prophet ﷺ list the rukn, say the arkan as-salah is 1, 2, 3, 4, the wajibat 1, 2, 3, 4? Did he do that? No, he didn't. How do you think they came to this?
It's like some sort of the framework of the salat, or the foundation, what appear to be the main structure.
Mm-hmm. But,
I think they looked at the consistency of how Prophet Muhammad prayed, and whatever he did every time became sort of a...
That's part of it. Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you see me praying. But he did other things regularly that were sunnah as well. So that's not the only measure, okay? That's a supplementary way of knowing it. But the main way is a hadith that we have to all know very well. And this hadith will come. Hadith what?
Hadith al-Musi'
salati. Exactly. Hadith al-Musi' salati. This hadith is a very famous hadith in salah. The man who his salah was deficient. The man whose salah was deficient. They give it a title. This hadith is so famous that it has a title. Hadith al-Musi' salati. When he came and Prophet ﷺ was sitting and he came in and he prayed, Allahu Akbar, did the salah real quick. And then he came to Prophet ﷺ, he said, Assalamu alaikum Rasulullah, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, irja' fasalli fa innaka lam tusalli. Go back and repeat your prayer because you did not really pray. So he did Allahu Akbar quickly again. It was a very fast salah. This was his problem. His problem was the salah was too fast that he didn't give enough chance for his... When he made ruku', some people go ruku' like this, and before they're fully in ruku', they get up again. And before they're up again, they're down again. We see that? You see that lots, huh? So he did quickly and went back. Assalamu alaikum Rasulullah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Irja' fasalli fa innaka lam tusalli.
There is a name that was given to that type of salat in Nigeria.
What is it?
We call it Madrosha Park, no expressway.
There's the hadith. There's a hadith that describes people who do salah very fast. He said, "Yanquruha naqra dik." He said, the chicken when it eats the seed. He described people who pray quick like this, like a chicken picks up the seed so quickly. She goes down like lightning fast and up again. So here he did the same thing. Came, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, 3 times. He sent him back. He told him, فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَلِّ, which means your salah is totally invalid. You did not actually pray. And what he was missing in, is the rukn of what? What do you call this rukn that he missed in? The rukn of being tranquil and giving every action and saying important. Of course, the fard saying its proper time. What's it called? Rukn what? Al-Itmi'nan. 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 Al-Itmi'nan means to take your time, not to haste. That's a rukn actually. It will come here. Okay. So here we said the qiyam, takbirat al-ihram, and then reciting the Fatiha. Because when he came the third time, he said to Prophet ﷺ, says, بأبي وأنت أمي علمني فإني لا أحسن غير ذلك. He says to him, may my mother and father be sacrificed to you. Please teach me. I don't know any better. So he taught him exactly. He told him, this is what you do, and those are the things he mentioned to him. Okay. So we said the recitation of the Fatiha. Ruku' and rising from the ruku'. Both are integral parts. Then number 7 is sujood. Okay, and sujood means the 2 sajda. Okay, not just one. Both of them are required. And then raising from prostration. That's known. That's how the rak'ah ends. And then being tranquil. Al-itmi'nan fi salah. To be tranquil. And then the final tashahhud. And then the taslim. And the order. Doing this in succession, because you cannot do the sujood, for instance, before ruku'. Changing the order that is mentioned in the hadith also invalidates the salah, because it takes away one of the rukn. We talk about taslim. Now the tashahhud, many scholars consider it integral part, some consider it wajib. Now the salat Ibrahimiyya after tashahhud, they also differed among that. Some people said it's wajib, some people said it's rukn, some people said it's sunnah even, okay? But when we know it's sunnah, we still have to do it, right? If somebody, this is how Prophet ﷺ did it over and over again, you still have to do it. Today we just mentioned the Arkaan. Let's just repeat them, because these are the essential parts. You cannot forget one of them. We mentioned 14 of them. We'll just repeat them real quick here. Let's try to count it. If you remember the salah in your mind, you'll be able to do it. The niyyah, of course, is part, but he didn't mention it here. You can consider it as a condition or an integral part, but every action in Islam requires a niyyah. So let's count niyyah, and then qiyam, standing, and then takbirat al-ihram. Just remember, just the order of your salah. Recitation of the Fatiha, ruku', this is 5. Qiyam al-ruku', standing up after ruku'. Sujood, the both 2 sajdat. Getting up from the sujood. What else? We said that getting up from the sujood. Yeah, not the awal, the last tashahhud. The middle tashahhud is a wajib. The last tashahhud, we talked about that. The last tashahhud, and of course the salam, and the succession, the order, and the tuma'nina, to be tranquil and to take your time in the salah.
Sorry, what's the second last? Succession?
Order, to do things in order.
The sequence.
To do things in order. And here he considered that the Salat al-Ibrahimiyya, let's do the whole tashahhud. With the Salat al-Ibrahimiyya, consider them as one. Always do them together. Even in the middle of the tashahhud, if you find the imam taking a long time in the middle of the tashahhud, you can do the Salat al-Ibrahimiyya. Some scholars said it is sunnah to do it there even. Okay? In the middle even. If let's say the imam is taking too long, you can, and you finished, you can, instead of being quiet, you can do Salat al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can do what? And don't do the salam now. Okay, I guess we got this rukn. We'll leave the others, the fara'id and the sunan, the next time.
If someone observes salat and there is deficiency, he knew, and he knew that you're supposed to do the 2
sujood, and he forgot the sujood sahu.
So, but rather than do it, he forgot again.
He forgot the sujood
He
sahu.
forgot to do it, then he went away.
Yes.
Like if someone did asri and committed that, he's supposed to do it, so he didn't do it.
Yes.
Then Maghrib became brave. Maghrib.
Now he remembered.
He was going to sleep and he remember asri. I forgot.
What
happened?
Nothing. If he had forgotten sujood, now not only did he forget in the salah, he even forgot the sujood sahu. Actually, it happened. It happens to all of us actually. Okay, I forgot in salah, I'm going to do sujood sahu, and then you forget sujood sahu. If you remember it right after, right after, within 5-10 minutes, you can get down again in the tashahhud position, do 2 sajda and do the salam. But you can't really get up and have dinner and then go to sleep and wake up. Say, okay, I forgot.
You discussed this point like once, and
Yeah.
it was asked by the Prophet. It was asked to the Prophet, and he said that within a short time you should do it.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
Exactly. It was when the Prophet ﷺ forgot, like he did the 4 rakat salah of dhuhr or asr, he did them 2 rakat. He finished, and then somebody came and talked to him, and he talked back because he said, "You forgot." He said, "No, I didn't forget." So there was some brief period where they talked back with each other. When he confirmed that he had forgotten, he did do 2 rakat and he did sujood al-sahw. So scholars said that you can still do sujood al-sahw if you forget, but shortly after, not like a long interval. If you forget, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا قد فعلت. The hadith Qudsi says قد فعلت. I have accepted your prayer. Now stop here.